As the blockchain marketing landscape continues to expand, we're continually seeing new creative solutions for scaling digital advertising. Today, in a special Blockchain CMO episode, Lindsey Galloway, the CMO of Rebel AI, joins Travis and Donny. Lindsay's going to share how her team and technology accomplished this goal with products built to protect and secure programmatic media trading between premium publishers and advertisers. One particularly interesting solution is how they cryptographically seal advertisers' creative to avoid a common fraud called domain spoofing. Well, there might be some podcast spoofing, and you may wonder if this is real life or just fantasy. In episode number 359 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
And welcome to the Bad Crypto Podcast. Mr. Travis Wright, I do have one question for you.
What's that?
Is this the real life?
It really is. My voice is really bad because of cheering at the AFC Championships. That's all you get.
Yeah, go Chiefs. You guys won and will be facing off against the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. And you might have your voice back by then.
That's true.
Actually, I was really smart. I was only cheering loudly on third down because I was like, we spent the whole week in Miami. But at Arrowhead, it's different, man. So whenever the defense has the ball, we're loud. We are super loud. We're the loudest stadium, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, in the world. Like we got to 142 point something decibels, and I don't know if you know how loud that is. That is super loud. And we're the loudest stadium in the world, and they've checked many of the loudest stadiums in the world. Ours is the loudest. And you know what, especially on third down, like that's when you got to yell and pound on things. And then what happens is it normally makes them do like a offsides or something. You know what I mean? That happened a couple times yesterday. It's so loud. And my son's voice is completely torched. Most people's voices today are completely torched. I just only cheered on third down so I didn't lose my voice.
You know, for a long time, the Who were known as the loudest band according to decibel ratings. And a quick search for the loudest bands ever brings up the band Sleazy Joe. Apparently, they're Swedish rockers that hit 143.2 decibels in 2008 in a concert in Hässleholm, Sweden.
My God, at a concert in that small of a venue, hitting that loud, that would be they must have had some serious speakers to be able to pump out that kind of decibels. Good Lord.
These go to 12.
Wow. I would say bring some earplugs if you go see that band.
Right, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming to listen to this episode, gang. It's going to be a great one. This is our third in a series of 4 blockchain CMO interviews that are conducted by Mr. Travis Wright and Donny Dvorin of NeverStopMarketing.com. And what's going to happen is that the blockchain CMO is going to spin off. It's like the Bad Crypto is having puppies. It's going to be its own show.
Well, when they have puppies, don't they have normally 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 8 in a litter? But this is only going to be 1.
Well, we've had the Crypto Check with Rachel Wolfson. So there's a puppy. We've had EOS Voice News that we've done several episodes on. We're just waiting for Voice to launch. So there's a puppy. And Blockchain CMO.
Bad news of Bad Boys of Tech.
Right, Bad Boys of Tech. So we got puppies. We just pop them out, in little spurts rather than
we don't pop out a whole litter because that would be obnoxious. And I actually have the KC Sportscast that I kind of launched on your own, and you've relaunched the Joel Comm podcast. So maybe there are some puppies out there.
There's puppies aplenty for everybody, and there's also llamas. If you check out our show sponsor, Upland, it's a location-based property trading game. We've heard from a lot of you guys that you think this is pretty cool. It's all paired with a decentralized economy. Essentially, you buy, sell, trade, and develop virtual properties based on real-world addresses. In this case, the real-world addresses are all in the city by the bay in San Francisco. And so you collect the in-game currency called UPIX as a reward for ownership and for completing missions in the game. The objective is to establish an open economy where various stakeholders interact and transact with each other directly without intermediaries. Check it out now. Go to upland.io upland.me, or just go to the iOS App Store or Google Play, search for Upland, sign up, and you will get 3,000 UPIX so that you can purchase your first virtual property.
And we've also got a new sponsor. We're really excited about these guys. They're doing some interesting stuff in a little bit different sort of a way. Club Swan is a tech-driven organization, and they have these lifestyle memberships. And so it's interesting. They have these multiple membership levels to select from, all of which include a payment card powered by MasterCard. And they have a global memberships to provide services to members in 50 different countries. You're able to liquidate crypto into cash in minutes with 8 current cryptos available. Payment card is accepted globally where most credit cards are accepted. They have a nice concierge team that's going to help out, and ways to earn with the member referral program. Check it out. It is interesting. They're doing things in a different way, and definitely worth at least giving it a gander because it's swans. So clubswan.com, and you can go check that out at badco.in/swan.
And you can swing with the swan.
Stop staring at me, swan.
All right, Mr. Travis Wright, let's get to this awesome interview with Lindsey Galloway of Rebel AI. Take it away, Blockchain CMO.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have another segment of the Blockchain CMO with us. I am with my trusty co-host, Mr. Donny Dvorin. How are you doing, Donny?
I am doing great, Travis. How are you?
Doing awesome. So, as you know, we are doing a series of episodes around blockchain, around marketing, ad tech, marketing tech. And these episodes are primarily for people who are in marketing, but it's also really interesting because we're talking about real world technology with companies that are using blockchain. And today we have with us the CMO of Rebel AI. Now, Rebel AI they say they bring simplicity and scale to digital advertising with products built to protect and secure programmatic media trading between premium publishers and advisors. This is going to be very interesting for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Lindsey Galloway.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
Nice to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit about your journey. First of all, what is your thoughts around this whole blockchain-y crypto world that we're entering?
Oh, it's been like a crazy journey for sure. I actually started my career in print magazines and then joined the digital world like about 10 years ago and ran the first like Twitter accounts and started to see social take off. And to me, blockchain offers the potential to be the next big thing. And I know it's gone through a hype cycle and all of that, but it's been exciting to watch the different companies that have come out of it, the companies that are starting to succeed in it. So I'm really excited to see what it brings to marketers, especially.
Cool. And then how did you find Manny, the CEO, and Rebel AI? How did you join HIPS?
So I joined the Boulder kind of startup crowd about 7 years ago. So we were doing contextual hyperlinking for publishers. So it kind of bridged my publishing side and the advertising side. And Manny at the time was CTO of that company. And we worked really well together. And then in late 2016, we decided to start this company only because we saw the just sheer amounts of fraud that were happening in the advertising ecosystem. As some of you may know, programmatic is very convoluted space with a lot of different partners and jumps that go through everything. So we really wanted to attack the fraud angle and thought cryptography and blockchain were a good solution for that problem.
Very good. Now, there's actually a nice little budding startup scene happening down there in Boulder, Colorado. Now, my normal co-host for the show of Bad Crypto, Joel, he's located in Denver, just right down the road.
Oh, no way.
From Boulder. So there's a lot. What kind of stuff's going on down there in Boulder?
Yeah, it's been crazy. We've have not only a lot of different startups coming in. We've got like the big guys, Amazon, Twitter, Google, all have like a space here now too. So it's definitely exploding. The cool thing is that in the startup space, there's a lot of different types of startups that are happening here. So we've got health startups. Of course, the cannabis startups are growing and strong here. And along with a growing kind of advertising and marketing stack as well. So it's a great environment to start a startup for sure.
Do you think there's also like a little bit of a blockchain central in Colorado or Boulder? And like what attracts startups to that area?
Yeah, we have we've got a bunch of different I would say the lifestyle is great. So we have like a lot of outdoor, like balanced lifestyle. So people love coming in and leaving work at 5 and getting on the bike or hitting the slopes and doing the whole Colorado thing. So that's definitely an attraction for the area. But it's also, I think the growing community provides a lot of resources for people that want to join a growing startup and bounce ideas off of each other. It's a very collaborative environment. Unlike, say, like New York, where you have a little bit more competition, I think everyone here reaches out to each other and gets advice from each other. So it's a very collaborative environment.
Yeah, up in New York, get out of my way. I'm walking. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You got my good things to do over here. I'm in New York. I'm important.
Exactly.
So, yeah, let's talk about Rebel AI, because I find this very fascinating. And I know that Donny's a huge fan. He was the one that sort of brought this to our radar. So you guys are using blockchain that works for advertising. You guys are doing its own sort of, you guys are, identifying publishers in a very unique way to protect the publishers, because I know sometimes, websites and domains can be spoofed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think you're going to a certain website, but you're not going to a website. And there's been some problems with advertising in the past where your ads will start showing up on these fake websites. And, there hasn't really been a way to sort of control that. So how is Rebel AI using blockchain and with identity and consensus and we'll talk a little bit later about currencies. So give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so we're working with publishers to give them their own like identity on the internet. So as we talked about a little bit about earlier, domain spoofing has been a huge problem in the industry because spoofers, there's a ton of money in advertising, so they want to siphon that money. Someone thinks they're buying inventory on the New York Times, but the bad guys are able to manipulate that and make it look like you're buying inventory on the New York Times, but it's really going to their pockets. So we provide the public and private key to publishers, and then we're able to work with the advertisers to encrypt their creative. And so it only can unlock when it lands on that correct publisher site. So the New York Times, for instance, no one else can decrypt or show the creative unless they have that set of private key validation. That's
fascinating. Let's unwind that a little bit more, because it seems like that. So there's some sort of encryption code on the publisher's website that unlocks that? How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So what we do is we give the public and private key to the publisher, and then we're able to sign the ad tag with the publisher private key. So then it can go through the typical ecosystem and land through different supply side platforms to different buying platforms. And then when it lands, that creative or ad tag is called, it'll check back for that key and then validate with the publisher's public key and be able to decrypt it and show it. But if it doesn't match, if that key doesn't exist on that publisher website, nothing will display. So the advertisers can then show a pass back if they want, or just a blank ad. But in any case, that ad will never display and render an impression on a site that doesn't have the keys.
Genius.
And I recall when we first chatted, I said, oh my God, this is going to be so challenging. You got to go to every single publisher and deal with the public and private keys. And then you said, no. There is a way to do this, like at the undercore level. Can you explain how you can kind of take this to scale and you don't need to go publisher by publisher?
Yeah, a lot of publishers work with CDNs, like content delivery networks. So we can install and integrate those keys at the CDN level. So it really makes it seamless. So they don't have to go one by one into each domain. They can kind of get one and done, and it protects them across their sites. So it gives a way to give scale to all of this in a simple way.
Yeah, that is interesting. It seems to me that this is the type of thing that could really be beneficial for advertising, because we know there's so much fraud. So much advertising, like
billion, I think was the last count.
How much is that? 19 billion.
19 billion, I think was the last number that I saw.
Yeah, and then I saw another number for 42 billion from Juniper. Like it just keeps doubling like every couple of years.
No, and that's so crazy.
It's hard to lock down a number, right? Because like the bad guys are invested in not being caught. And there's just estimations out there on how much is really going on.
So you could conceivably, if publishers opt into your platform and utilize your guys' solution, we could conceivably, at least on digital, we could conceivably bring that fraud number down to very low numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And that way you're also, we know everything that is being transacted is secure. So it's not even just necessarily preventing fraud, but that insurance policy that whatever you're transacting is with the people that you intended to transact with.
I'm curious to know, like, lately, how the perception from like the advertising community it has been. And I'll back up by saying that, like, I've been thinking a lot about the progression of many of the companies. And so you guys founded in 2016, but I would say 2017 was the real year that a lot of the companies in this ecosystem that are using blockchain started coming up with this idea and developing the product. 2018, the products became real and started to see more tests and pilots, leading that into 2019, which is in the year right now. I think that 2020 is the year where all the pilots from 2018 and 2019 are saying, okay, we found success. Mm-hmm. Now let's really scale this out. And you'll start seeing more and more from the companies that are using blockchain. Would you like agree with that timeline? And then where would you fall on that as far as like the success that you've had recently?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. It was really important to us to find partners that were willing to take a chance on a technology that hadn't been used in the market before. So we found some great partners, not only here, but also in Europe. We have been really successful. The market there is just really invested in solving this problem and really interested in blockchain. So we've had some great success there and here. And I agree that we're scaling up those different pilot programs that have launched in the past 2 years. So I think we're still a little bit out from it being mainstream on every campaign, but I don't think too far out, right? Just probably another year or so of getting those big name holding companies on the record.
You guys are certainly ahead of the curve. Now tell us about your, so you have the three core pillars. You have the identity and consensus and currency that you talk about on your website, with consensus being your distributed ledger brings a new transparency and new auditability to the advertising market. How does it do that? Because auditing of advertising in a lot of ways is a challenge, and there's never really been transparency into this. So to me, this seems like a really cool innovation. How does that work?
Yeah, so we give access to all of our partners to Hyperledger to be able to query the same data that we query. So they have the full transparency the same as we have. We're not trying to hide anything. It was a decision early on whether to run on a public or private blockchain. And that was an interesting, challenging decision because a lot of these companies are publicly traded and didn't necessarily want all their information to be available on a public blockchain. So that kind of informed our decision, at least early on, to get people used to it. It's such an old industry and there's a lot of money flowing through it and people were still unsure about the technology. So
got to ease them into it.
Yeah, exactly. So get them to understand the concepts and then be able to, in the future, move to a more publicly auditable blockchain.
Got it. So an advertiser comes to you and they say, great, this is great. We want to remove domain spoofing. We want to use Rebel AI. And they say, like 70 to 80% of their digital marketing is on, Google and Facebook. And then the other, 20 or 30% is more traditional programmatic. Are you able to go to into the Google world or the Facebook world at all? Or does this have to be just outside of that?
We're focused primarily on the outside, open market. That's where a lot of the fraud is happening. But I think there's also a return. A lot of people are not the happiest right now with the non-transparency of Google and Facebook. So there's a market to grow programmatic in the open market, I think, still. So we really help solve that problem. And as that area grows and more people are starting to interrogate Google and Facebook, we're able to still serve and protect that open market inventory.
Yeah, and maybe that's one of the reasons of the Google and Facebook growth was there's so much fraud out in the open markets that they don't want to use that type of programmatic inventory. If we reduce that fraud, the pendulum can switch back over.
Right, exactly.
That's like saying there's no fraud in Google or Facebook, right?
Right.
So now most blockchains, right? We talk on Bad Crypto a lot. We interview different people who are doing different projects, and most projects have some sort of token or some sort of cryptocurrency element to their blockchain when they're going through their consensus model, and right, and it pops out some cryptos and all of that. And so how does crypto work, or actually not work? Or what's going on with Rebel AI? What's your ecosystem like?
Yeah, we really, again, because these companies are a little bit slower to adopt and publicly traded, we decided early on not to go the ICO or crypto coin raising route, which I think has served us well because, like you said earlier, we're easing them into this concept. And then at some point, once we have more adoption and scale, there could be different incentives that we build into a coin. But we just felt like it was a lot for the advertising ecosystem already to take on and change. So we were doing it piecemeal. So that was the last piece in our roadmap. So it may be something that we introduce down the road, but it's not something that we're working with right now.
Oh, I want a bag of Rebel AI tokens.
Yeah. It'd be a cool logo.
I want to take them to the moon.
Exactly.
Just like your bad coins, right? So what's on your wish list? Like what do you wish to happen, either for Rebel AI or for the advertising landscape? Like what are some of the things that you wish can happen that are just not happening yet?
I always wish for more innovation, I think, or for people to be willing to try new things. Like there's a sense in advertising that people come in, like push the buttons, they get the money, like get their campaigns out there. And it's just very, they have their patterns and they don't want to change anything, even when it could be better. So I think we've met a couple of great people in the ecosystem that are really innovative and trying to push things forward and really get to the bottom of fraud and different things. So I really hope that the whole industry in general is starting to pay more attention to that. And I think it's happening to some extent, especially with this look at transparency and the data rights and different things. So I think it's happening. I always wish it happened faster, but that's the startup girl in me. So I definitely hope that for the advertising ecosystem going forward.
Nice. So you have on your website, you have the passport, right? And you say, by protecting publisher identity, your cryptographic solutions prevent advertisers from displaying and advertising on spoofs. So we talked about that a little bit, but so you got secure tags and you have this immutable identity, and that allows you guys to have guaranteed delivery of that. So how do these secure tags work? And maybe describe that to the audience a little bit of like, what are tags? What does that even mean?
Yeah. So as you might know, anytime you go to a website, you'll see those little, like either a video ad or an ad like a 300 by 250 on the sidebar. And those are all generated based on a bunch of different factors. Like programmatic is like who you are, what you've looked at recently, also contextual, what's happening on the website, what the article's about. So all those things, it collects that data, sends it back to a advertiser ad platform, and decides what creative it wants to serve you in that particular second. So that's just a little bit of JavaScript on the page, calling back to a bunch of different platforms to serve you that correct ad. Mm-hmm. So basically, with how Passport works is exactly that same way. But instead of just placing the JavaScript ad tag directly on the page, the campaign or advertiser is going to use our platform to encrypt it. So it encrypts it with the destination sites that it's authorized to display on. So let's say like Business Insider, New York Times, CNN, and then we encrypt that ad tag back with those site identities, give it back to the advertiser, and then they schedule it in their platforms just like they would any other normal ad tag. So all the same rules apply. They still can do the targeting they want or the contextual targeting they want. But the only difference is that it will only display when it lands on those secured sites.
So that's like to me like the domain spoofing fraud. What are the other types of fraud out there for the audience to know? And then like which ones does Rebel AI solve, or which type of fraud it's like, no, that's outside of your realm?
Yeah, iframe stuffing is one we've seen a lot in our tests. So that's when someone like will do like a 1-by-1 of a particular site. So no one's actually seeing the ad, but it looks like it's coming from that site because it's in a 1-by-1 iframe. So we see that quite a bit. Of course, bot traffic is very common, but it's also fairly simplistic in terms of someone just setting up a, let's say, mobile phone bank or a browser bank somewhere and just hitting their websites over and over again for to get the ad revenue on it. That's the most common one, probably what everyone thinks about when they hear of bot fraud on the internet. And I would say there's just different other use cases that we can detect in terms of if there's like a too long of a delay, that can be a sign of suspicious traffic, like between when the ad loads and the page loads. So that's just a handful of the different types of fraud that we see.
I mean, knowing that there's, $40-50 billion a year in fraud potentially, like, has there ever been anyone like arrested for this? Like, oh, you manage a whole bot farm full of these and you've pilfered $1 billion. Like I've never read, or it's never been in mainstream news. It's actually come to my eyeballs that I've seen somebody actually getting arrested for this fraud. And we're talking ridiculous amounts of money here.
That's a great point. There was actually the very first FBI indictment that happened earlier this year. It was a result of the meth.
Finally, after 20 some odd years of mainstream internet.
That's what everyone was saying for a long time, that like, why wouldn't you do fraud? Because there's no real consequences to it. Like the worst case.
Why didn't we think about this 20 years ago, Donny?
Well, we would have been in jail.
But finally, it was like a group effort to really bring together, I think, Google White Ops. A bunch of teams came together to work directly with the FBI to shut it down for the first time. But it was really interesting to hear about like how long it took to be able to prosecute it and actually prove that there was harm done on what scale financially. So it was a pretty groundbreaking case. So
how big? How much money had they scammed? Do you have any idea?
I think it was something like
3 to 5 million a
day. At least for this
3 to 5 million a day.
Yeah, you could Google it. It was large. I forget the exact
Man, that's
number.
like island money. You can just be chilling with that, dude. You don't even need to work anymore. Just create a bot farm and do some ad scams. Damn.
Yeah,
that is insane.
It brings up a logical question, which is there are companies like yours, and then there's companies that have been around for more than 3 to 5 years. I can think of like IES, which is Integral Ad Science, Double Verify, Moat. You just mentioned White Ops. And now there's all these newer startups coming in, all fighting fraud. But then these Juniper reports literally write every year that it's like doubling or going up 50%. So why is the chart of fraud going up and to the right, where the number of companies coming in to solve for fraud are also going up and to the right? Like, how do we stop that, and why isn't it being stopped?
Well, I think one thing that we like to talk about with Rebel AI is that we're a deterministic solution for fraud. Like it's math-based, right? So it's very black and white. Like, yes, this is the authorized website. No, it's not. A lot of the other fraud providers are probabilistic. They base their security on different things that they've seen in the market, so are able to try to be like, okay, statistically, this looks like a bot. Statistically, this looks like a human. And so kind of are able to try to figure it out. But of course, the fraudsters that are really good are able to stay ahead of that algorithm and be able to act and look like a human on the internet with like mouse movements and where they move on the page. And so it's really tough to keep up. So I think in some ways that there's always going to be a little bit of cat and mouse, but I think bringing deterministic solutions like ours to the market will really help put a lid on that growing fraud number.
I think Donny might be a bot. I'm not sure. Seems
I'm not as smart as a bot. Sorry.
Right on. So where are maybe some case studies and stuff that you guys have already done? Because you guys have been around since 2016. Like, what are some success stories and some maybe some fraud that you've identified, or some money that you've saved advertisers, or working with some publishers? What's some cool things that have happened so far?
Yeah, the coolest thing that just happened, we won a IAB Mix Award, and IAB is the Interactive Advertising Bureau. It's kind of the trade organization.
Congrats.
For digital advertising. Thank you. So that was great. We worked with a Belgian publisher and a big energy company over there as the advertiser. And it was a great collaborative plan to try to just show. We worked with the publisher for their keys and worked with the advertiser and the agency to encrypt their campaign, and were able to not only show different rates of domain spoofing, but also just different interesting things that were happening on their site, different SSPs that were kind of doing some strange things. So just bringing more transparency to the ecosystem and stuff that they had never seen before, their advertisers had never seen before. So they were really pleased with those results and what they saw, and they're going to expand throughout all next year. And some of their advertisers are even going to require all the publishers they work with to have these keys in order to get any of their budget, both for encrypted campaigns and traditional campaigns. So it's a great success on that front. So we're hoping to continue to expand our footprint in Europe and do similar awards and things here in the US.
Nice. And then so start summarizing. It's like, how does somebody engage you? Like, what's the pricing model look like? And how does somebody that wants to work with you work with you?
Well, we work with publishers. It's always free to work with us as a publisher. We just give you the keys via the CDN or a JavaScript installation. So that is fairly straightforward. And once you're a publisher, you just always have the ability to be part of our secure market, cryptographic marketplace. And any advertiser that jumps in is able to see your inventory can be securely bought. And then on the advertiser side, again, it's fairly straightforward to work with us. We just work with whatever ad tags you have currently, are able to intake your campaign and export it, like I mentioned, in the secure format, and then they schedule it just like normal. So we tried to be really non-invasive to the process. As I mentioned earlier, people are very set in their ways in terms of ad operations and their flow, and they don't want too many extra steps. So we make it pretty straightforward. If you're familiar with the advertising flow and ad ops flow, we're just one extra step in that, and then they're ensured that they won't run on any sites that they didn't intend to run on.
And then it's like a SaaS model?
Yep, exactly. So we have a tiered SaaS model. So you'll have X number of impressions at a certain monthly rate, and then it tiers up from there.
Very nice. Now, one of the things that we've seen such an uptick in over time is like ad blocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now we even have browsers out there that are blocking ads completely. So actually, one created by the creator of JavaScript out there. Great.
Yeah.
So how does AI, Rebel AI, does it work on those platforms, or how is it going to evolve over time to sort of overcome some of those hurdles?
Yeah, and I think we really like what Brave and that company is doing, and support it a lot. And I think they have some really interesting models in terms of supporting the publishers and working with the advertisers. So it makes a lot of sense. And I think as we see more and more interrogation into data practices across the US, we'll see more and more of that. And our goal is to evolve with that as well and provide security for all advertisers. So being able to get the different advertisers to deliver their message in a secure way will remain our focus, even as the ad blockers potentially grow and browsers grow. I think it's not about one product specifically, but about the mission of the company and continuing to grow with the market.
Yeah, well, you guys have the mindset in the right place. You guys' heart in the right place, doing things to help the advertisers and the publishers create a much better playground for everyone to get those fraudsters out of there. So I think, that makes a lot of sense. That that's sort of the ethos of what Brave is doing. They're like, well, look at all this crazy stuff that's going on. Let's reward people for this. And so maybe when you get that Rebel token out there, we'll have you back. We'll have you back on the show.
Absolutely.
Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on Blockchain CMO. We enjoy talking about you. You guys can visit Rebel AI by just doing a Google search and going to their website if you are an advertiser, or reaching out directly to Lindsay. And Lindsay, any final thoughts for the audience?
No, I think you guys have been great, asking great questions, and the interrogation wasn't too bad. So I appreciate that.
That's great. Where can people find you online?
They can find me on LinkedIn is a great place to hunt me down. And
I just hunted you down, by the way.
It's perfect. And then my email is just lgalloway@rebelalai.com if anyone wants to get in touch with me directly.
Great stuff. Lindsey Galloway, Chief Marketing Officer of Rebel AI. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks you guys. It's been great.
Mr. Travis Wright, your thoughts on that interview, please, good sir.
Well, you know what? I thought it's an interesting solution how they're, visualizing the data supply chain and helping make ads, get some ad security out there, because a lot of times, ad spend can be, very fraudulently used, and you don't necessarily know where your clicks go. You don't know if the clicks were clicks or not. You definitely, that 50% of your ads can work, but you don't know which ones. That's kind of what happened in the past. There's a famous quote there by Wanamaker. I don't know, 50% of my advertising works. I just don't know which one's 50. That's starting to change. People are actually knowing exactly, finding the click path of exactly where this traffic's coming from, where it's going, which ads you're able to decipher, with based on the codes on the site, which things are tracking you, what's doing what. So, I think that situations and solutions like Rebel AI, we're going to start seeing more and more of that. Being able to secure media buys with cryptography is unique. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's fun chatting with people who are doing cool stuff like this.
Yeah, Donny keeps a list of the blockchain marketing landscape, and I'm sure it's changed a bunch in the past couple of years. It's at neverstopmarketing.com, and if you go under marketing resources, you can see their current reviews. During the ICO season, there was a lot of companies that had some big dreams, right, for what they were going to do. And a lot of them didn't survive because the market fell apart. They might have completed their ICO and were working on it, but then the funds dried up. And I think that it's just a matter of time before we see the next wave of companies that will be well funded, because they're going to be using blockchain in a way that's going to provide real solutions to marketers. And I think that's why it's timely to spin off the Blockchain CMO show.
Because it's all grown up. It's growing up on its own. And should be fun.
It's kind of like a teenager right now. It's kind of got pimples, at the moment. It's not grown up yet.
Right. It's not quite grown up yet. Yeah, you still got to feed it for another episode. Yeah, so if you like that, if you like that type of stuff, if you like marketing, you like technology, you like blockchain, obviously you like blockchain, cryptocurrency, you're listening to the show. But if you're also in marketing or know anybody who is in marketing, we'll let you know when the Blockchain CMO spins out. You can go check it out over there. The first 4 episodes will be live whenever we go live with that. And then we'll probably put out a new episode every 2 weeks or so. So make sure to check it out.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? We need some new reviews from you guys. I want to see some humor. Go to iTunes or Facebook, wherever it is that you listen, and write something funny, especially if you enjoy the show and you're going to give us 5 stars, because that makes us happy. It lifts our spirits. It made us happy to see so many people come up to us at the Bitcoin conference in Miami. And if you weren't able to come, one way to say, hey, we tolerate you guys, is to go write that review.
That is true. Go write that review. And I'm looking at iTunes right now, and it looks like we have 832 reviews. I would love to see us get another 168 reviews to get us to 1,000 reviews by the end of March. So end of Q1, let's get some reviews. Let's do a review drive. And people who write the funniest ones, leave a way to contact you in the review, like an @ your Twitter handle or your Instagram handle or whatever. That way we can connect with you. And maybe there could be some rewards for you guys. Could be some cool stuff we can do.
Oh, look at that. Mr. Travis Wright has some ideas for things. We've also got a bad coin update, but we can't really share it with you yet. But we're going to be announcing it on an episode here coming soonly. So those of you who are hodling bad coin or mining bad coin, let's just say that things are about to get exciting in the universe of bad coin. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. So we just want to say thank you for tuning in. It was so great to meet you guys in Miami. I mean, we had so many photos. Go check out our Facebook page. We uploaded an album there of all the photos, or I don't know if it's all the photos, but most of the photos. What happened was whenever we took a photo with a fan, we'd use their phone, and then we used my phone. So we got a copy of the photo as well. And so we have an album there on the Facebook page. Go check that out. And we got all of our fun fan-friendly faces there. It's really cool taking photos with the iPhone 11 with the wide-angle lens, because you get some really cool sort of, you can point at the camera and it looks really cool. So we got some pretty fun photos with our fans there in Miami.
I don't see them. I'm looking. Did you upload them?
No, but I will upload them by the time that this thing goes live.
Oh, he's committed, gang. Now he's going to upload them. So watch out. And if you were there, see if you spot yourself in the photos as well. We'll catch you guys on the next episode, which will be bad news. It's been a few weeks since we've done bad news, and there's a lot of news to cover. Catch you then. Until that time, remember to please stay bad.
Astavazia ploha.
Очень плохо.
Hold on. It's Astavazia plohim. Stay bad, comrades.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.